All right, so Father, why did you decide to invite Reverend Wright to come to the church?
Number one, because he likes Dr. Maya Angelou, and she was going to be here, and he wanted to come by and hear her, him and his wife, people in St. Sabina and in the community for him.
Okay. A lot of people think what Reverend Wright said is anti-American, it's bigoted, it's hateful. Why would that kind of a message be appropriate for your congregation?
That message wouldn't be, but he's not bigoted, he's not anti-American, he's not hateful. Jeremiah Wright is one of the most loving, loyal people I know. He's a true patriot because he loves the country enough to criticize it and challenge it. It is interesting to me that he can criticize it and he can make challenges, and all of a sudden it's hateful and anti-Semitic. When John Hagee or when Rod Parsley or when Franklin Graham or all sorts of other folks make comments about the country or say things, it's not hateful. They're making comments as preachers what they want to say. Jeremiah Wright loves America. He's a Marine. So, you know, first of all, was Bill Riley a Marine? Let's be real honest. He served this country. He loves this country. And people to come in and take a soundbite and loop it over. If you took a soundbite of Jesus saying you've got to hate your brother and your mother and your sister and your brother and your father in order to love me, and loop that around, they'd say Jesus was a madman. The people in Trinity know Jeremiah Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. They know the man.
Right.
So it may be something he says one time or a way he says it, and any preacher in this country, they say, oh, God, that was really harsh. But they know the person. A church and a sanctuary is a family gathering. And you come in and take snippets of a family gathering, put it on a national audience. If Jeremiah Wright or myself or anybody else were talking to a national audience, you would probably speak differently than you teach to your family.
Fair enough, but Senator Obama even has distanced himself and said that Reverend Wright was wrong.
Okay.
It's not as if he's been taken out of context or anything like that.
He has been taken out of context. That's a lie.
Okay, fair enough. Then let me ask some very direct questions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Reverend Wright very well?
Yes.
Do you think he believes that the U.S. government injected AIDS into the African-American community to kill them?
I don't know if he believes that or not. If he said that, I did not hear that whole tape, so I'm not going to comment on that tape. I didn't hear the whole thing. When he talks about the problems, the realities of America, my God, look at the scriptures. Look about what the scriptures say about the wrath of God being released on a nation. Look what the scriptures say about the killing of people. I believe this is an immoral war. I don't believe God said the Pope commanded this war was an immoral war. And so my Catholic Church says this is an immoral war. So I stand against the war. That anything that's immoral goes against God.
That may be true, but 6 days after 9/11, he says America's chickens are coming home to roost, basically saying that we aren't the victims, we're the ones who are at fault. 6 days after 3,000 American citizens died.
He did not say that we are the ones at fault. He did not say that we were not victims. He said it was a tragedy and a horrible thing. But he said we have to take what I have said. I'll speak for myself. Is that America has to take responsibility for its actions around the world, and we have done some shameful things around the world. Jesse Ventura is on Larry King last night talking about the horribleness. He said a lot worse than you ever heard Jeremiah Wright say. You're not calling him anti-Semitic. You're not calling him hateful. You're not calling him un-America. So I mean, let's put it in context. And we talk about a person in context. He says that America has some things they got to own up to. Dr. King in the 60s talked about that we risked the wrath of God in this nation because of our actions with the Vietnam War. People have been saying that for a long time in America about different countries. I love America, but I also believe that I have the right to dissent with America's policies. That's part of my American privilege. I love America. I want to be nowhere else. But I have big problems with America.
And people have the right to dissent with your dissent. I mean, I think
absolutely.
But he's also a bigot.
No.
He's also a hater.
You say he's a bigot. He is not a bigot. He's not a hater. That's what you call him. And you can have a right to say what you want to say about him, but that doesn't make it right because you call him that. He is not a hater. He is not a bigot. He is a person who has had the freedom to speak about the injustices done in this country to African Americans and to poor people in general. The classism and the racism. What was Katrina? Classism and racism. What is it about the number one jail? What is it about the fact that we're locking up black people? More black people are in prison than any other race, but American government says 72% of the drug users in America are white males. So let's talk about the real injustice. Let's talk about the education system in this country. Let's talk about the health care of poor people. Let's talk about racism that exists all over this country in America, the #1 sin of this country.
Well, if racism's the #1 sin, then why are you hanging out with guys who are accused, like Wright, who says the USA of KKK, and Farrakhan did call Judaism a gutter religion, and he's called Jews bloodsuckers. That's a fact.
Okay, you can say what you say. I know what I heard when I heard him speak.
Well,
he's not a bigot. First of all, it'd be pretty hard for him to be a bigot if I'm white, and I'm a very close friend of his, wouldn't it? So, he is somebody that I respect for. It is interesting to me that when white people criticize America, they're critical. When black people criticize America, they're haters of America. It is very interesting to me how we have those double standards in the media and double standards in society. When black people raise issues, they're angry and they're mad. When white people raise issues, they're raising questions. That's the double standard of this country.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. Look at Senator Obama. The guy's has a good shot to be the next president of the United States.
I hope he is.
Well, right. So you're not living in no one's saying that he's that way, and he's an African American man. So that's not true. It's
What's
just when you
true?
got no. It's when you
What's
say
not true?
when you say, sir, that when a black man says something, they're angry and this, that, or the other. I think people make a distinction between someone like a Senator Obama and someone like a Reverend Wright or a Louis Farrakhan.
First of all, Senator Obama is a senator. Reverend Wright is a preacher in a pulpit. Those are two very different roles. Very different prophetic roles of which they're called to be the preacher, to try to serve all its people. Unfortunately, in America, we don't have a real good history of serving all its people. Unfortunately, in America, we live in a double-standard society, and it's as real as 40 years after Dr. King's death. How different are we? How are we different? It's amazing. We talk, well, look, we're great in America.
If you talk to Senator Obama, he said the biggest problem with Reverend Wright is that he's stuck back 40 years ago, and that things have changed, that they've gotten better. Is Senator Obama wrong?
No, I'm not speaking about Senator Obama.
Well, you said how much different are we?
You asked me about Jeremiah. Well, I'm speaking for me. I think that in 1968 to 2008, we've made a lot of progress, and we have made a lot of non-progress at all. Dr. King, I believe, would cry today if he looked at this country and saw the plight of poor people, saw us in a war that is immoral, founded on a lie. If he saw the conditions of which we live in this country today, I think Dr. King he'd probably be considered by you and Mr. O'Reilly and your viewers as an angry madman.
Listen,
because that's how we like to make people out we disagree with.
Father, I think that Martin Luther King's message was that he wanted every man to be judged by the content of his character, not the color of their skin. And what Reverend Wright is preaching is a black liberation theology that's very much racist and anti-American. And so there's a big difference between those two messages.
Sir, the big difference is you call it racist, you call it anti-American, and you call it black liberation theology. Reverend Wright preaches the gospel of Jesus Christ, the same gospel I preach here. And have said many of the same thing. I believe that the gospel's message is not only to preach unity and to preach progress, it's to deal with the ills and the cancers and the sicknesses and the sins of our society. And we got to deal with those. And I'll continue to preach about those. And as long as our job, I'm not running for office.
Right, but
I am
Father,
running for Jesus.
You're running for Jesus, which is a message of love, not a message of hate. And don't you think that there's... Hang on, let me just ask you a question, Father. I mean, I don't think that you or Reverend Wright or me or Bill O'Reilly or anybody else has a monopoly on caring about people. I don't think that just because you and Bill O'Reilly may disagree on something that you can then say Bill O'Reilly is, a racist or doesn't.
I didn't see, but there you go again. You want to jump to terms. I'm not calling Bill O'Reilly a racist. I say I disagree with him. I disagree with the stance your station has taken and the prejudice stance that is done on Jeremiah Wright. It's wrong and it's unfair. That's all. I know Jeremiah Wright. I don't think you do. I don't think Bill O'Reilly does. I know him. He is a good man. He is a loyal American, and he's a prophetic teacher of the gospel. And I'm not going to allow people to call him a racist, anti-American, or bigot. Him nor Louis Farrakhan, because neither of them are. I know the persons.
But isn't there part of their message is not a message of love? It's a message of hate. I mean, that's what even Senator Obama had distanced himself from their remarks.
You just defined love by Dr. King saying, be judged on the content of your character and not the color of your skin. Read the first part of that speech, where he called about the injustices of America. Read his speech about the Vietnam War. We like to take Dr. King and repackage him into this wonderful little loving, sweet guy who has an olive branch in his hand. That's not Martin Luther King, because I knew him too. And Martin Luther King spoke truth to this country. And that's why he's dead now, because they decided that he had to die.
Well, thank you very much.